Hello guys, this is DCS1 here, and today I'll be showing you how to start up the AV-8B Night Attack Harrier. Let's jump into the cockpit. So we're in the cockpit of the Harrier. As you can see, we have our pilot on. If you do have your pilot on, then to turn him off to make the start process easier, we can turn him off with right shift and P as such. So first things first, what we're going to do is we're going to contact ground crew. And we're gonna ask them to remove the wheel chocks.
Chief, remove the wheel chocks. Copy. Wheel chocks are now removed.
So we're doing that now, so the ground crew does not have to go in front of our big Sterling engine and in front of those big intakes when it's started up, so we don't put them in harm's way and they don't get hurt. So to close the canopy, we can either press left Control C, or we can press this handle right here and close the canopy like that. We want to make sure that this switch right here moves forward. If it's aft, it's unlocked, and if it's forward, it's locked. So that means the canopy is locked. Next, we can turn on our battery with this switch right here. I'll right click on that, and we can tell that the battery is on when, as you can see, these things unlocked. The fuse is now set to safe, whereas before it was just a dash. And also we can check the voltmeter, and it reads more than 24 volts, so we are fine. Next up, we can also arm the ejection seat on the left side right there. And we can turn on our fuel pumps with these two switches right here. They need to be in the forward position. Turn on our fuel. And turn on our digital engine control system, also known as DCS, with that switch right there. With all of that on, we can also start up our engine. So there is an APU on this, but in DCS it really doesn't matter if we use the APU or not, and it's faster to just use the engine startup switch. So we're going to be using the engine startup switch today. But you can also use the APU. There's nothing wrong with that. So just press the switch forward, and we'll get all these warnings. I like to turn them off. I don't like listening to Bitching Betty. And now we just wait. We also can set our nozzles to about 25 degrees so they don't burn the flaps. And as you can see, the engine is clicking. So what we can do is we can put the throttle into idle position. That will start up our engines. Now with the engines started up, we can turn on our MPCDs on the right and the left side. We can turn on our UFC, and we can turn on our radios. Also turn on our HUD with the brightness knob right here. We are going to open the engine page first. And we're going to check that the engine doesn't exceed any statistics. So the fan RPM shouldn't exceed 28% on startup, and the JPT is in a good temperature. If it's anywhere above 500 degrees, I think, then it's overheating, and then that's not good. But I don't know if it's even possible to do that in DCS. But yeah, I think it's not. But you know, it's always good to check. So now we're going to open up the EHSD, and we're going to open up data. We're also going to press AC right here. What we're going to do now is we're going to turn off the stick by clicking on it, and we can set our alignment to C. And then what you can see here is the timer starts, and quality attitude not okay. So we are going to wait until this starts a countdown, and it's going to align the INS. So that's going to happen, that's going to start anytime soon. While that is happening, you can do other startup procedures. Turn on the 4, and turn on the DMT. On the left side here, we can turn on our flaps. And see, it turned into 25 degrees. That's why we want our nozzles to be more than 25 degrees, just so we do not damage the flaps. On the carrier, we want the anti-skid to be on nose wheel steering while we taxi, but when we take off, we want that off, so we don't get any hard takeoffs. Let's turn the RPS on, and that's it. Oh, we forgot our oxygen. Actually, oxygen is usually earlier in the step, but well, we're not in the air. It's not going to really affect us. So we can turn on our formation lights, position lights, anti-collision lights, auxiliary lights, and we can see the INS countdown is now started. So when that reaches just 0.7, that means it's going to be ready, and it's going to say OK next to here. So we just have to wait for that. Meanwhile, we also have the internal lighting panel. We can adjust that to as we need to. Personally, it's daytime, so right now I don't think we need any of it, but adjust that to your own needs. Let's turn on the radio to transmit and receive plus ground, as so. And now all we have to do is wait for the INS alignment. Okay, but we can also do while we wait. We can turn on our ECM to RCV. Actually, it would actually be preferred for you on the ground to leave everything on standby, but most of the time in DCS we might forget to do it in the air, so it's better to do it on the ground. But it's actually, in real life, they would not turn any of this on. On the ground, they would just leave it on standby. The same goes with radar and other things like that. And also, weapons arm would never be on the ground, it would only be in the air for safety precautions. So we want to turn the ECM to RCV, EXP to auto, and RWR, we can just turn this knob to up, and then it's going to turn on, as we can hear with that beep. And our INS is finished. As you can see, quality is 0.7, and it says OK. That means it's done. It usually takes, yeah, this 3 minutes and 5 seconds. So now we can set our INS to IFA, and we get a caution, and you can see that MPCD, and everything turned red, and you might think that that's an error or something, that I did something wrong, but no, you just have to press the data button again, and it's all fine. As you can see, green, it shows our speed, heading, and everything. And that is the startup procedure on the Harrier done. All you have to do now is release the parking brake, which is right here, but normally it is behind the throttle. And be careful, because there is a switch right here that also is a fuel cutoff. So we do not want to accidentally press that switch. I advise you to turn off the stick, and because that also turns off the throttle, and then just press the lever right here. And then when that's done, as you can see, we automatically start taxiing, because the Harrier just has that thrust. It's just automatically starts thrusting forward, and we already removed the wheel chocks, so we're not stuck on those. So we just taxi to the middle of the taxi to the runway, or in this case our flight deck. Hold brakes. We want our nozzles to be as far back as possible, because we're going to need to gain as much speed as possible. And by the end of the deck, we want to have the nozzles at 50, and right as we leave the deck, we want to put our gear up. So, full thrust. When we start slipping, then we release the brake. Be ready with the nozzles, and nozzles coming up, nose up as well, gear up, and as you can see, we took off from a carrier. Now we got an altitude warning. That is also a thing we could have set up beforehand with the altitude button right here, but that's not necessary per se. But you can change your altitude as you wish, and your altitude warning as you wish. So that was the Harrier startup, guys. Thank you for watching, and if you have any other videos you would like to see, make sure to leave them in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys next time.